If there is one thing clear about this season, it's that the 49ers need a new quarterback going forward. Now, although I personally believe in Jimmy, it's obvious that Kyle Shanahan does not and that he wants to do so much more with this offense. On top of that, some fans believed that Nick Mullins could have been the starter, but that is just not the case at all. So, with lots of quarterback controversy in the air, lots of names have been thrown around by you guys. We've heard a lot of Zach Wilson, a lot of Trey Lance, a lot of Mac Jones, heck, even a lot of Kyle Trask. And don't get me wrong, all those guys could be viable options. It seems like this team probably won't make the playoffs with all the injuries and being in the best division in football, and that would lead to us having a prime spot in the draft to get them. However, although I like all of those guys, there is one guy who absolutely no one is talking about, and I believe that getting him makes perfect sense for this team. And that's Sam Darnold, the quarterback of the New York Jets. Now, not only do I like him because his name's Sam, but when looking at his situation and play style, adding him to this team would give everyone a significant boost. Not just the offense, but the O-line, the defense, you name it. Everyone. So with that being said, here's why acquiring Sam Darnold makes perfect sense for the 49ers. Before I get into it, make sure to follow me on Twitter at NinerWireSam, and if you have any questions or comments about this vid or anything else, make sure to leave them in the chat below. Without further ado, let's get right into it. So let's start off with what Sam Darnold brings to the table and look at his strengths and weaknesses. To start off, Darnold has a strong arm, can be mobile if needed, and almost never has tunnel vision. Those are three strengths that Jimmy Garoppolo does not possess, and I believe that those are some strengths that Kyle Shanahan is looking for in his next quarterback. On top of that, he places the ball pretty well, he's willing to be aggressive, he has lots of room for improvement in his short game passing, which is crucial for this team, and when the pocket is clean, he consistently succeeds. Now, looking at his weaknesses, he does possess some pretty glaring ones. His decision-making ability is mediocre, his release is far slower than most quarterbacks, and although he can escape the pressure, he fails to recognize it and often fails in pressure situations. Now, I know a lot of you may be asking yourselves, Sam, if he fails in pressure situations, how will he fit on a team that struggled to protect their quarterback this year? And trust me, we're getting to that. Stay tuned. But let's talk about one of the most intriguing factors about Darnold, and that's him being in the Jets system. It's no secret that the Jets system is terrible, and when watching the tape, it's obvious that this is what's setting Sam Darnold back. Darnold has some of the worst options to go to in football and has to play behind one of the worst offensive lines in the game. Do you really expect him to succeed with that? Adding on to that, like I said, some of his strengths are clean pocket passing and ball placement, but with such a terrible supporting cast, he can't do that, and his supporting cast instead creates weaknesses like failing under pressure. Bringing him into a new scheme in San Francisco would give him so much more opportunities to succeed and turn those weaknesses into strengths. And I guarantee Kyle Shanahan sees something in Darnold that no one else sees because of his supporting cast. So to sum that all up, Sam Darnold has so much potential still in the NFL to become a franchise quarterback, and it's far too early to give up on him. Now, you may be asking yourself, Sam, what separates Darnold from everyone else? And to answer this, I want to bring up several key points that don't have much to do with the film because although he's no Patrick Mahomes, we know that he's a good fit one way or another when watching the film. First of all, Darnold is 23 years old and has 3 years of NFL experience. He's a year older than Mac Jones and Kyle Trask, 2 years older than Zach Wilson, and 3 years older than Trey Lance, and more importantly, he has 3 more years of NFL experience than any of those guys. On top of that, unlike those guys, he can start right away. The 49ers are in a win-now situation. We do not need a guy who's going to need a year or two to develop. By trading for Darnold, the team opens up their Super Bowl window for a few more years. Next, there's some history with the 49ers and Sam Darnold. In 2017, before the 49ers had Jimmy Garoppolo, the team was in love with Sam Darnold, according to KNBR. And the weekend going into the Week 2 Jets game, listen to what Kyle Shanahan had to say about him. I've watched him a lot, whether it was in college or last week's game. I'm a big fan of Sam's. He's a very good player. He's going to have a very good career in this league. He makes a lot of plays. If you're not on your stuff, if you let him get comfortable back there, he'll pick you apart as good as any quarterback. He can throw it very well, and he sees the field extremely well. Yup, it's no secret that Kyle Shanahan loves this guy. And as I've been saying, Kyle needs to fully trust whoever his next quarterback is, and all signs show that he loves Sam Darnold and can easily use him as his next quarterback. Now, the main reason why acquiring Darnold makes sense is because of the price we have to pay the Jets for him. Now, it's no secret that the Jets are going to take Trevor Lawrence if they get the top pick, and if they don't get the top pick, Justin Fields will probably be their guy. So, with that in mind, the Jets are going to want to trade Darnold. And considering that he has not reached his full potential due to the awful situation he was in with the Jets, as I previously talked about, teams are not going to want to give up much for him. Right now, I would say a good asking price would be a third rounder, but considering we don't have our third this year, you're probably looking at Sam Darnold and a fifth for a second, or Sam Darnold for next year's third, or something in that realm. So, by getting Darnold, we gain a quarterback and an extra pick, and most importantly, keep our first instead of using it on a quarterback, and now we can fill a position of need, such as offensive line, which will help eliminate the weakness for Darnold of failing in pressure situations, or cornerback. And while we're on the point of the 2021 draft, we're probably going to have to move up to get a quarterback either way, considering where we're slated to pick. So ultimately, we're giving up significantly more to get a guy in the draft instead of getting Darnold, and that guy in the draft is going to bring the exact same things to the table. So to sum that all up, Darnold is by far and away the cheapest option when it comes to filling the need at quarterback. Now, I know a lot of you guys are saying, I don't want Darnold because so-and-so will be a better player. And let me put it this way. The 49ers do not need an elite quarterback. Remember, just last year, Jimmy Garoppolo led us to a Super Bowl. And is he an elite quarterback? Absolutely not. All we need is someone who can run this offense the way Kyle Shanahan wants it to be run. And Darnold does just that, as I said earlier. On top of that, let me repeat myself to emphasize it again. Sam Darnold is by far and away the cheapest option when it comes to filling the need at quarterback. Sam Darnold can start games immediately for us. Sam Darnold is very similar in age with all the draft prospects, but has experience in the NFL unlike those guys. Sam Darnold is a guy that the 49ers love. So, my question to you is this. What's the point in wasting a first rounder on a quarterback when you can get Darnold and bolster the offensive line or the secondary? And if I still didn't address your point about needing a better player, Darnold has as much potential as any of those guys we can get in the draft to become an elite quarterback. And that's something I don't need to go into again. I've repeated myself enough. Now, let's get into the contract situation, and this is another thing that I love about Darnold. Darnold is on a rookie contract for 1 or 2 more seasons, depending on if his 5th-year option is picked up, and he's being paid roughly $17 million less than Jimmy Garoppolo. Additionally, he would cost relatively the same as the guys from the draft. Now, I know a lot of you don't want to get another quarterback because no one will take Garoppolo's contract, but if no one's going to take that, we can easily afford to cut him. Jimmy G will only cost $2.8 million in dead cap in 2021 and $1.4 million in 2022. So, cutting Garoppolo seems inevitable and doesn't harm our cap situation at all. Now, some of you are concerned about the future for Sam Darnold. He's entering the final year of his contract, and the extension of his 5th-year option is definitely in question. However, what do you expect? This is the franchise quarterback. You have to pay whoever your franchise quarterback is big money. So if Darnold succeeds here, I am all for paying him big bucks next offseason, and everyone should be on board with that. Plus, him being paid $9.8 million this year is a bargain. We can now utilize our cap space more and bring in guys we wouldn't be able to bring in years prior. So be thankful if we get Sam Darnold's contract in our cap books, because that is an absolute steal. So there you have it. Bringing in Sam Darnold makes perfect sense for this team. He's affordable, young, experienced, and has been praised numerous times by our coach, meaning that he should fit in here. Whether or not we get him, the 2021 offseason is going to be very interesting for us, as we have a lot of holes to fill. So hopefully Lynch and Shanahan can bring in the right guys. But before the offseason, let's hope that this team can finish the season strong and maybe even make a playoff push. Anyways guys, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Go Niners!